Greetings, Earthlings! Planet Mitch, founder and chief astronomer over at planet5d.com, where we're bringing you some awesome DSLR news every day. It's time for the summary results for Simple Sunday Survey number 9. And I have to confess, I'm way behind. We've put out several Simple Sunday surveys that we've been answering every week, but I haven't been very diligent with getting the videos uploaded. In fact, I've done 6, 8, now 9. I still haven't looked at number 7 in detail and created a report for it. But I've done videos that I haven't uploaded, so I'm going to knock those all out in the next couple of days. Thanks for your patience with that. We've been looking at microphones and cameras and what pain points you have, which is number 7, which I haven't done yet. And this particular episode was the first one about lenses, and we're going to do several on lenses. And I think lenses are obviously very important, a crucial part. So we're covering audio, video, bodies, as well as the light coming through the lenses. It's awesome that you're sharing such great information. We've got quite a few great comments in this particular episode. So let's get right to it. But first, let me also remind you that I've been doing the DSLR Film Noob podcast weekly, and we just finished one last week in episode number 8 or 9, or I forgot what the numbers are there, but we're doing this every week, and keep an eye on that. You can find those on planet5d.com as well as dslrfilmnoob.com. Awesome stuff going on there. So last week we talked about the 5DS, which was released just recently by Canon. Okay, I shouldn't say released, I should say announced, because it's not going to be out until June, which is kind of crazy. But it's not just about the bodies, it's about the lenses, right? So what kind of lenses do you guys have? We asked 2 basic questions. How many lenses that you have that are photography lenses, and how many that are cinema lenses? And we're going to go into more detail about brands and sizes and all those other kind of things in the coming weeks. But let's start with this. And I found this obviously very interesting because it turns out most of you are using photography lenses, which is what I suspected. Also very obvious that most people don't have just one lens. So in terms of photography lenses, only 1% of you said that you had just one lens. 9% said you had 2. The big answers were 3 lenses and 7 to 10 lenses, which is kind of amazing. That you guys have a lot of lenses if you look at this chart. 4, 5, and 6 are above 10% of you have those kinds of those numbers of lenses. DJ and I on the DSLR Film Noob podcast have been talking a lot about lenses because there have been several new ones released lately or announced. And it turns out that DJ has an absolutely insane number. I think if you were to answer this, he'd probably say 20 to 25 or maybe even 30. He's got a lot of lenses, and he gets a lot of them through eBay, which was a discussion we talked about several weeks ago on his podcast. Phenomenal that there are that many available on eBay these days. Okay, so the other question I asked was, how many cinema lenses are you using? And cinema lenses, I didn't get really specific about what a cinema lens was exactly. I had a couple of people send in and ask me that. I tended to hope you were going to answer based on the definition by the vendor, if they say it's a cinema lens. Now, that typically will be a lens that maybe either has T-stops, which are a lot more refined than f-stops, or maybe it's declicked in the aperture ring, and so it's a very smooth aperture change as you change the lens. But there are a lot fewer people having cinema lenses. If you look at the bottom of this chart, none comes up with 67%. And the vast majority of you aren't in the massive number of lenses category. We only had 1 and 2% answering that there were more than 7 lenses, cinema lenses in their catalog. 3 and 2 and 2% and 4%. So maybe the biggest majority there is 1 and maybe 2 lenses. And I suspect that most of those are probably zooms as well. There typically seem to be a lot of cinema zooms. But let's dive into the answers in the third question that I asked, which was the other. I wanted to hear some opinions. I gave a wide open section there for other to find out what people were saying. So let's dive into some of those responses. And there's our one guy who says, I don't know if that's the one guy, but 18 to 135, so that was a zoom. We've got several people that are telling us what kinds of cameras they're using, and I certainly believe that lenses are the fish and chips, if that makes any sense. They're the meat of the matter. The bodies change rapidly, but if you invest, you should be investing in lenses. There are several comments on this page about the Vedra primes, which I have no familiarity with. I bet DJ probably does. The first comment in the second column about loads of old lenses. Again, cinema allows you to use many of the older lenses that we haven't probably used in a while. And some of those even have variable aperture, smooth aperture, and or declicked or whatever. So comment here, lenses are an obsession. That's certainly true for many people. The photo lenses are getting less and less use, so somebody is migrating to more cinema lenses. That's okay. Nikon and Canon have been mentioned. No cinema lenses, but I would like to get some. They are rather expensive, so yes, that is typically true. The cinema lenses tend to be a lot more expensive. Anamorphics, we haven't really talked about those, and I might dive into that as a separate question, because anamorphics are rather unique and interesting. Still buying them, of course, is a very common comment. Everybody wants to buy cool lenses as they go through their filmmaking career. Micro Four Thirds, a couple of mentions here. And then there were 2 or 3 mentions here. I like this fourth comment down. It's a total misconception to think one has to cinematize everything. I think that's obviously true from our numbers, that most people are still using their photography lenses. Aside from the click-free aperture on the barrel, I don't see any reason to get cinematized lenses. So there's another comment about that. Maybe interesting to break out zooms and primes. We might do that kind of a question. That's a great comment. Certainly appreciate input on what you would like to see. And this other comment here on the right-hand side talks a lot about Canon and investing in major lenses, and they're expensive. Yes, we're all obsessed. Lenses are too expensive. Well, I would tell you that many of the lenses are either partially or completely handmade. Some of the more expensive lenses are assembled by hand, and though maybe the grinding is done by machines, if you go look at some of the videos out on YouTube on how lenses are made, you'll see there's a whole lot of handwork involved, especially in the high-end lenses. So yes, they're expensive, but you get what you pay for, I think, in a lot of cases. Non-cine lenses are useless on my C300, somebody submitted, so they're using cinema lenses there. And this one came in, the top one on the right-hand side, I rent only. Let's not forget that there are many filmmakers who only rent their lenses, which is a great idea if you can bill the customer or if you can add it to your project, and that way you don't have to own it. But then again, you don't get to keep it after you're done. So that's one way to afford them very expensive cinema lenses, is to rent them for a particular project. There you go. Those are some of the awesome comments. I really appreciate the feedback, and I think you guys are really enjoying the Simple Sunday surveys. because one of the people mentioned that they had an idea of doing the primes versus zooms, maybe you guys want to submit some more information. Send me an email at planetmitch@planet5d.com if you would like to have us ask a particular question, either about lenses or bodies or any particular kind of topic for our Simple Sunday survey. Really appreciate all you guys paying attention to the Simple Sunday surveys. Again, if you are a Planet 5D subscriber, go to planet5d.com/join to get in on our list and get 5 free filmmaking ebooks, including an interview with Shane Hurlbutt and Gail Tattersall, who are 2 amazing directors of photography. I also have the Camera Conundrum, which is available for those of you who are probably noobs. You old people or old-timers, I shouldn't call you old. I tend to call myself old sometimes, which I probably shouldn't because I'm only 57. But cameraconundrum.com is an awesome resource for those of you maybe just getting into filmmaking and want to know more about the why behind picking a particular camera for a particular project. We've gotten some awesome feedback on the Camera Conundrum, and it's certainly something you might be interested in checking out. So I'm Planet Mitch. Thank you so much for paying attention to the Simple Sunday survey. Make sure you keep an eye on those. And by the way, I'm uploading those as audio to the Planet 5D podcast on iTunes. If you're interested in just listening to these, find them over there as well. This has been the Simple Sunday survey. Thanks so much for watching, and tune in again next week. And I'm going to try to get these out on a regular basis so that you get a regular dosage of me from Planet 5D. Thanks for watching.